We are up to week 3 of our Secret Agent program this week, and the participants have been busy doing lots of fun things, from shooting Nerf guns to making paper planes. So hopefully a really fun session for everyone this week, and they've come home feeling up and about their relaxation gadgets and the things that they use to help them feel calm. So as we discussed last week was about learning about identifying emotions in ourselves, so recognizing when we're feeling angry and what the signs in our body are for anger, and recognizing when we're feeling worried and learning about what the signs in our body are for worries. This week we switched the focus more to say, okay, well now what do we do about it? And so when we are really worried or really anxious, then there are some things that are going to be really effective for us, and then there are other things that just aren't going to work. So for example, if your child is a 10 out of 10, in terms of the most anxious or worried or angry that they can be, then asking them to take some deep breaths is not necessarily going to work. So what we're focusing on today is looking at, depending how worried or angry you are, about what you can do at each of those levels to help you to calm down. So the first thing that we learned about is what we call our fire engine gadget. And so this is, if there's a really big situation where we're feeling really big emotions, then the fire engine comes out and we need to douse those flames and help us to calm down really quickly. And so the best way to do that is to get our bodies moving. What happens when our body goes into fight flight, if you think about my hand and think about this being like our brain, this is our survival part of our brain here. And so when this is our thinking part of our brain here, when we go into fight flight, we flip our lid, so our thinking blank brain just turns off, and we are just in survival mode. So when we're in that survival mode, we have adrenaline pumping through our body. And when that adrenaline starts pumping through our body, it needs to come out. And the best way to get it out is to get our body moving. Because if we're trying to sit still while that adrenaline is pumping, our fists are getting ready to clench, we're going to be getting really agitated, we're going to be getting really restless while that adrenaline is pumping through our veins. Because we have been designed since our times as cavemen to get that adrenaline out. It's there, designed to help us to be able to move, to help us to be really strong, to help us to be able to survive a life or death situation. Even though for a lot of our kids, the anger or the anxiety that they're feeling isn't a life or death situation, to them the reaction in their body, what's happening to the stress response in their body, is exactly the same. And so therefore the most effective thing that we can do for them when we're getting so high is to give them an opportunity to get their bodies moving. So in their little packs, they'll have a little card called the fire extinguisher card. And basically what we're encouraging them to do today is to come up with some form of signal to alert an adult to say, I need to use my fire extinguisher. So it might be like a timeout signal, it might be like a stop signal. It can be anything that they think is discreet enough. It can be a word, it can be like a tap on the shoulder, whatever works for them, to be able to alert an adult to say, I need to use my fire extinguisher, without having to find the language to be able to say that, because when their lid is flipped, they won't be able to find the words to say that. So it's got to be super simple. So then what we're asking them to do is to get outside, to go for a run, to go for a walk if that's where they're at, to climb on the monkey bars, to jump on the trampoline, to bang and to crash. We want to get that adrenaline out of their body as quickly as possible. And then once the adrenaline is out, then we can have a conversation with them. Then once the adrenaline is out, then the lid starts to close again. The thinking brain starts to come back on, and we can start to work through what just happened. But until we help them to calm back down, they're not going to be able to work through what just happened. So we've got to get that adrenaline out first. So we would love if this week you could have that conversation with them about what their signal could be, how they let you know that they're needing to use a fire extinguisher, and maybe even how you could let them know. And it might be something that everyone in the house has a signal for a fire extinguisher, for if they're getting really worked up and they need a break. And as parents, it's absolutely okay for us to lead by example with that. And if we're finding that just before dinner time and there's heaps of yelling and heaps of craziness going on, that we use our own symbol and say, I'm just going to spend 5 minutes by myself. I need a fire extinguisher. And I'll be back, sort of things that they know, and we're modeling that behavior for them. So that was the first thing that we talked about, and probably the most important thing for you to remember. The second thing that was worked on today is looking at our thoughts. So when we're, say, a 5 out of 10, then we're aware, we can become more aware of our thinking. When we're a 10 out of 10, that thinking brain is gone. When we're a 5 out of 10, we're maybe sitting here, so we can still use our thoughts a little bit to help us become aware of how that's impacting our mood, because our thoughts can significantly impact how we're feeling. And if we're thinking negative thoughts, then that's going to take us closer and closer and closer towards flipping our lid or becoming that 8, 9, 10 out of 10. And so what we talked about is helpful thought missiles. And so that is a relaxation gadget where we're shooting down enemy thoughts. So some common enemy thoughts that we have is, I'm stupid, I can't do this, this is dumb, nobody likes me. They're common thoughts that all of us have. There's some outrageous statistic that escaping my mind now for the number of negative thoughts that go through our brain every day compared to positive thoughts. And even if we are well, and we're not suffering from depression or anxiety or any other condition, we still have more negative thoughts than we do positive thoughts. And again, that's a survival strategy that's inbuilt in us to keep us safe. We're always looking out for danger, and we're always being prepared for that. And so it is normal for us to have a high percentage of negative thoughts, but what we want to be able to do is recognize them and shoot them down. And so one of the activities that we've done today is with the Nerf guns, and we're shooting down the unhelpful thoughts. So I'm stupid, nobody likes me. Bang, I'm not, we're going to shoot that down with, I might not be good at this, but I do have some friends who I love, or something like that. So it's just about, we're not trying to pretend like we're good at everything if we're not. So there's no point saying, yeah, I'm great at this if I'm not great at it. But it's more about recognizing, okay, this is a negative thought, and then what's something that's more realistic. So it can take some practice to help our kids come up with more realistic thoughts, because I'm great at everything isn't going to be the best solution. So they're really the things that we want you to have some conversations with your child about this week. In terms of home programs, what we want for you for missions for this week, we've worked on identifying our relaxation gadgets and putting them where we can use them on our emotionometer. So if we're a 10 out of 10, we're going to use a fire engine. If we're a 2 out of 10, we might do some deep breathing. We would love to see your child start to practice that through the week, to give those relaxation gadgets a go at home. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week.